This is James Hill of Rifle TV in association with Matt Marbella. With me I've got the IBF Super Bantamweight World Champion Carl Frampton. Just had the first press conference between yourself and Scott Quigg. How did you find it?
It was good. It was interesting. A wee bit more heated than I thought. I thought this was going to be a bit more civil and a few words in Manchester and Belfast, but it was good. It was good fun, you know.
I suppose it's inevitable when you get that many sort of characters together on one top table and the back and forth that's been going on for 3 years. Will it happen? Won't it happen?
Yeah.
It only takes a little bit of touch paper to light it up, doesn't it?
It just needs someone to say one thing and it can all kick off, and that's pretty much what happened today. I probably let my emotions spill out a wee bit more than I should have, but it just adds to it really, and it makes it a bigger event. Not saying nothing was manufactured like your man's title, but it just happened.
It's interesting for us, obviously we all want fireworks because there's nothing worse than going, I've had a great camp, it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah.
For our point of view, it helps sell the fight and it helps generate more interest in the fight, so it's fantastic to watch you two sort of exchanging and having the sort of heated discussions between yourselves, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was good, and I said it there 2 minutes ago, he was a bit more articulate than he usually is, and he was able to have a conversation this time, so you know, well done.
What did you make of his comments that, for instance, you took this fight because of the frailties that was perceived to be shown against Gonzalez in America?
Yeah.
What's your initial response to that?
No, I think that's why this fight's happening, because of my performance against Gonzalez. They've got confidence from it. I don't think they ever really wanted the fight before the Gonzalez fight. And then, you know, I didn't have a great first round, and they're getting some sort of confidence from it. And that's it really. I don't think, you know, if I had won out and blew Gonzalez away in 2 rounds, this fight still wouldn't be happening.
What do you make of the fact that Scott Quigg's been elevated to super champion, Rick Lundell's been stripped? What are your initial thoughts on that?
I think it's a joke. I absolutely think it's a joke. It confuses me. I don't know what it's doing to the average guy on the street, but the situation with belts has me confused at the minute. They've just, you know, he's just been given titles. He was given his regular title. What even is a regular title? What's regular about a world title? And now they've stripped Rigondeaux and given his title. I don't think that needed to happen for this fight. I think there's enough in it to be a big fight. Didn't need to be a unification fight. But that's what they've tried to do, make it a unification fight. But it's difficult for me to call it that because I know that Rigo is the real WBA champion.
Was there other big fights for you offered in America? No doubt you've made your American debut. There must have been other deals on the table. And if so, what was the reason for you choosing this fight ahead of other fights?
I think there is bigger fights. This fight can be quite big in the States, but there was bigger fights for me out there. But in the UK and Ireland, and you know, you want to talk about legacies and stuff. This fight could be one that people are talking about still in 25 years' time. You know, I wanted to have it. I wanted to settle a score. You know, I genuinely have wanted this fight for a long time. In hindsight, now looking back, it's probably better that there was a bit of a delay on it. Both of our profiles have raised,
especially where you've both stayed undefeated as well.
Undefeated as well, so it's a bigger fight now than it would have been for a British or European title. But I can't wait to get going. I think that's kind of just added to it a wee bit, that press conference. It's going to be exciting, the whole build-up. Obviously I've been involved in big fights before, but nothing of this magnitude. I think it's going to be special.
What do you make of the fact that they're saying that they dealt with Kiko Martinez much more effectively than you had after, even though you fought him twice before? What was your reaction to that, Carl?
I knew they were going to say that. They had to say that, but it doesn't really matter. Again, like, you know, it's hard for me to criticise someone's first round, well, the first round that I had in El Paso, but he didn't have a great one himself against Kiko, and he looked frightened against him. He looked frightened, and he winged in an uppercut, closed his eyes through an uppercut, and it landed, and that was it. And one thing you have to give Scott credit for is that he can punch hard. I think Kiko probably made mistakes. He got a bit reckless after his good first round, and that was it really. That was his downfall.
Do you personally dislike Scott Quigg?
Not really. No, I don't dislike him. I think he's a man going about his business. He trains hard. He's a good fighter. He's a very dedicated fighter. I don't dislike him. No. Probably dislike his trainer more so than him. But no, I don't dislike Scott. No.
What did you mean by the comments that you directed towards Joe Gallagher and Scott Quigg, that they're the greatest of all time, if you like?
It's just he has this. He likes to think of himself. Not so much Scott, but Joe is the messiah of boxing in the UK. He thinks he's an unbelievable coach, and he seems to forget that he was given all these guys. He doesn't even have his own gym. He calls it Gallagher's gym, but it's Amir Khan's gym. He was talking about training world champions, Scott Quigg, but up until recently he didn't have a world champion. Liam Smith is his first world champion, and fair play to him for doing that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Joe said. I know he's going to wind me up in the lead up to this, but that's all good.
What did you think about the comments of some sort of what's happened in the gym slightly being brought up? It wasn't fully aired. Yeah. But what did you make that was touched on?
I don't know what they're getting at. I don't know what they're trying to say, but rumours in the gym. Who wants to start talking about that stuff? There's plenty of stuff I've heard about Scott Quigg that's happened to him in the gym. I'm not going to bring it up because it's in the gym. They can say what they want. I don't know what they're talking about there, but if they're getting some sort of confidence out of things something that they make believe, then that's all right.
Can you explain to me what happened in your training camp? I read on your Twitter that there was some sort of burglary or what happened?
The housing camp. We live with a house in close to Clapham, and
that's not far from me, by the way.
Is it not? Where are you?
I'm from Mitcham.
Oh, right.
Just round the corner, yeah.
Round the corner. Well, the stuff that was going on with France was on the news. I stayed up quite late, about 1:45, went to bed, and as I brushed my teeth, I thought I heard something. It's a big lad called Steve. Sometimes stays with us, sometimes stays around the corner with his girl. I thought it was him, called his name, no reply. I went down the stairs, there was a light on, and I turned it off. The light was on, I turned the light off, and the wee fucker must have been hiding around the corner in the kitchen. And I just didn't know. Went back to bed, went to sleep, and woke up the next morning with no TV and a few other things going. So just one of them things happened. Need to be a bit more careful from now on.
Quite a scary situation though, because we used to say if you would have discovered him or found him, what could have happened?
What would have happened? You think about it now. Obviously there would have been a bit of a altercation. There would have been a fight, and he may have had a blade. Anything.
You just don't know.
You don't know. So it's probably lucky that I went back to bed.
How much hype and support have you had from the people of Belfast for this fight thus far? And do you think you could be considered as a home fighter in Manchester with the amount of travelling support that you possess?
I'll bring a lot of fans. It's going to be, I think he's going to be the home fighter. But they're trying to play it down there. I believe I'm going to have more fans than him. It's how long is it? They're splitting the tickets in half, but how long is it going to take him to sell his tickets? Obviously he'll sell a bit more than usual because of the magnitude of the fight, but to say that he's going to sell 10,000 tickets is just lies. He's not going to do that. And hopefully I can take some of his when they don't sell.
If you are victorious in this fight, you mentioned you see yourself as the best in Britain, the best in Europe. Would you potentially consider fighting the best so-called perceived best in the world in this division?
Yes.
He's obviously gone down.
Of course, I would like to fight him, and that's the thing. I'll mention his name. I'm happy to fight Rigo. I want to prove myself against the very best in the world. Scott Quigg won't even mention his name. Obviously, he doesn't want to fight him. But I'll go out and I'm happy to fight him after a sore Quigg out.
On that note, I really enjoyed today. I think most of our viewers are going to enjoy watching it as well. Yeah. And we can't wait for the build-up and ongoing sort of collision of you two and your two teams, if you like.
Yeah.
It's going to
be good.
Watch.
There's a lot of personalities involved and a lot of characters.
Big characters.
It's going to be good.
All right. On that note, thank you for talking to us, Carl. I appreciate it, mate. I'll catch you again real soon.